Going down the final stretch to the end of the year 2014, it is barely less than 11 days to go to the end of the year, and it is time for reflection when it comes to sports in Nigeria. What did we really achieve in sports in the year 2014? We had some glorious moments, no doubt, in athletics and also in women's football, particularly at the youth level and at the level of the Super Falcons, where they became African champions. We also had some negative moments of serious lapses, particularly not being able to qualify for the Nations Cup coming up in a few weeks from now. Well, as I've said earlier, it is a time to reflect on some of these mistakes and see how we can move ahead, taking some beneficial lessons from these lapses, and at the end of the day, transforming it into something that will be very positive when it comes to achieving results in sports, particularly in football. We have a kickoff date for the Nigerian Premier League, which kicks off early February. And of course, as you know, it is still action in the European leagues, particularly in the English Premier League. Today we have Man City hosting Crystal Palace, and of course Manchester United will be going to the Villa Park to confront Aston Villa, while we have Southampton taking Everton. All those features coming up today in the English Premier League. And of course tomorrow will be Chelsea travelling to Stoke City, and the big one, Liverpool against Arsenal, while Newcastle will also be meeting Sunderland. All those fixtures slated for tomorrow in the English Premier League. It is hotsports, and it promises to be another exciting package of the program this Saturday.
Sometimes life can be very boring. But in the MTN season of surprises, you get a special smartphone plan that gives you a whopping 4.5 gigabytes at only 2,500 naira, so you can browse more, chat more, tweet more, and upload those unforgettable moments of the season. Text 120 to 131 now to activate your smartphone bundle, or dial *123# for more options.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Hotsports cranks up the heat this Saturday with fresh sports news and incisive analysis backed by exciting visuals. Hotsports, your unique source of sport information, education and entertainment, inevitably delivered via hot, scorching argument where no one blinks. Don't miss it.
Well, it's time to go into the main issue on Hotsports this week, and our main focus is looking at Nigerian football and who else can evaluate Nigerian football in 2014 and how we can move ahead and look forward to a bright future other than the first vice president of the Nigerian Football Federation and the chairman of the Lagos State Football Association, Barrister Seyi Akinwumi.
Hotsports cranks up the heat this Saturday with fresh sports news and incisive analysis backed by exciting visuals. Hotsports, your unique source of sport information, education and entertainment, inevitably delivered via hot, scorching argument where no one blinks. Don't miss it.
A long stretch of months after the World Cup in Brazil was characterized by administrative upheavals in the football house. Did this in any way contribute to our inability to qualify for the Nations Cup?
Well, first of all, there's no way you can divorce football from the administration of football. So whilst I can't put my finger on it and tell you this is what caused this, it certainly could not have enhanced our opportunity of qualifying. But I think that at the end of the day, once we came on board, we tried to give all the supports we could to the team, but undoubtedly it would have been a distraction to them.
Your administration is just beginning to settle down. Is the failure to qualify for the Nations Cup as defending champions a big setback for you?
Well, it's a big setback in fact because Nigerians always like to win, and as defending champions we certainly would have loved to be there. But it's not the end of the world. Football, as far as we're concerned, in the entire terms, in Nigeria, needs overhauling, restructuring. And probably this gives us an opportunity, because there's a wake-up call now for everybody. I think that when we won the Nations Cup, everybody believed that everything was okay and fine. But I think there's a wake-up call now. So whilst we're not happy about it, we believe that we must bring out gold from the adversity.
Now back to some of the nagging heartaches for this new administration. The chairman of the NFF Elections Appeals Committee feels the decision of majority of the members of the panel to uphold the NFF elections is due to ignorance, since they are not lawyers. As a barrister, what's your take on this?
Well, I think it's very simple that the whole matter has gone to FIFA. FIFA has ruled on it, and I think it's in our past. I don't think that the comment of any particular person or individual is material at this time, as far as that's concerned, because the appeal has come and gone. FIFA has ruled that it accepts the ruling of the majority, and that's the end of it as far as I'm concerned, and my members are concerned. I don't think we should go back into his comments at that time.
Do you think efforts by the legislature to unify the NFA Act with the NFF statutes will bring a big respite to football administration in Nigeria?
Well, I think that, we must always improve our laws. As you said, I'm a lawyer, so we must always improve our laws in line with the times, with current times. Laws cannot remain static. So it's a good development that even the legislature are looking at updating the laws to suit the current times, current climate. But we must be careful in what is passed into law, because we do not want a situation where we pass something that or the legislature passes something that will not be in tandem with what currently entails in football around the world. But I trust that because they have the sports committee, the Senate, and the sports committee in the House, who incidentally are quite close to the football administration generally and understand what goes on there, what will be passed will be good and will be for the improvement of football in Nigeria. So we're quite happy about it. Finally, they're taking the bull by the horn and moving things forward. So we're hopeful that by the time the final law comes out, it's something that we'll all be proud of as Nigerians.
Many are of the opinion that it is end of the road for Stephen Keshi after failing to qualify Nigeria for the Nations Cup. Why is the issue still lingering on?
Well, I think that, people have kept on with this question about Stephen Keshi. And I think it's important that we put things in perspective. You see, Nigerian football is bigger than any one person. Stephen Keshi, or the top scorer at the moment, or the best goalkeeper at the moment. Nigerian football is a whole conglomerate of issues, from developmental football to, I guess, at the top, the Super Eagles. Now, if you yourself can come up with the idea that maybe it was the administration of football that was in crisis that caused us not to go to the World Cup, then maybe all of us are to blame and not just Stephen Keshi. So if all of us are to blame, I think it's important we allow things to cool off and let us look at this thing critically. We have a technical committee, let them look at it critically to decide whether in truth Stephen Keshi is the one to blame. And if he is, what do we do? But I don't, the blood is too hot at the moment for us to just rush into decisions. It doesn't stop us from taking decisions. Luckily for us, we don't even have any great competitive match in the near future. So we can take our time to look at it properly and decide whether it is this way or that way. Stephen Keshi is not Nigerian football. Nigerian football is you and I, sports lovers. So let's take our time, and that's why we're administrators. Administrators don't rush into decisions, but we will take decisions, have no fear.
But there have been issues about renewal of contract, and some are already talking about figures.
Well, I'm vice president. I don't know anything about it. So maybe somebody is doing this and I don't know, but and we haven't discussed it at the board. So I don't know anything about that, but that in football, everybody comes up with ideas and figures and players and captain of the team and all that without knowing. So I found that there's a lot of rumor-mongering going on in football, but you should just wait for the authentic statement from the Nigerian Football Federation, and then you can take me on that.
Is the NFF looking at the possibility of a foreign technical manager for the Super Eagles?
The NFF, as it is now, has not discussed since Steve Keshi came back to the fold, has not discussed the issue of the coach of the Super Eagles. We will, but we have not just yet. The technical committee will give us a report first, and then we'll take it from there.
In spite of the ups and downs in Nigerian football, in the last few months, do you think you have really achieved anything?
Well, what we've achieved, first of all, is that we've, I think, achieved the end of the crisis. We've raised awareness about football administration. I think, by the grace of God, this long-winded crisis will be the last one we'll have in Nigeria regarding elections or otherwise, because a few things have come to the fore, and we have been able to articulate what should be. The second thing is that we have shown the world, and particularly the private sector, that we're a bunch of serious people who want to do business, the business of football, in the administration of football in Nigeria. Therefore, we've presented to the private sector, and they're very happy. We've also showed vision of what we want to do. We have articulated the vision of how we want Nigeria to move forward, with coaches, with refereeing, with the league, and with developmental football. We already started. The referees have gone, our elite referees have gone, and we're hoping another 20 would go abroad to learn the rudiments and interact with their colleagues. And there's a plan on refereeing, which you will see next season, which will be helped by this decision that we're taking. Next month again, we have the coaches who will be going to learn match reading and things like that. So and people think, oh, you're just spending money abroad. That's not the issue. We can bring, and we will bring people, come and train people here. But it's important that the top ones go and see for themselves and actually referee matches there and see how it's done in those climes with more experienced people, so they can come back and give that information to the rest of the people that they have here. So we have shown a direction in administration, and we have shown that we are transparent. I think you say it's 2 months, I say it's much less, because we haven't had time to really sit down and do the work. But that's what we've been doing, and you'll hear a lot more from us in the new year.
Out of the Nations Cup, are we just going to sit down there and fold our hands and, as usual, wait for the 11th hour approach to major competitions?
No, certainly not. That would be foolhardy. What we're doing now is we are planning to take advantage of where we find ourselves. We want the Super Eagles to engage in friendlies, particularly throughout the year, where we have the FIFA calendar break. We expect Nigeria to be playing a friendly match. Now we have the other 23s and the other 20s who are in camp. We also expect them to produce 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of that group to fight for space in the Super Eagles. So we are looking at it globally. It's not an issue of whether the Nations Cup, therefore forget Super Eagles and come back to it later. The Super Eagles still exist, even when we don't have a major competition like Nations Cup. So you cannot call yourself administrator of football if you leave that in abeyance. Probably the most, and is the most visible of our national teams. It's not possible. So you will find that there's a lot of plans that we want to carry on.
What do we look forward to see in Nigerian football in the new year?
You should expect to see direction. You should expect to see better organization. You expect to see better planning. You expect to see good football, good refereeing. We're very particular about refereeing because we think it's at the hub. You will see a reorganization of the way we plan to run this thing. A reorganization of the way football is run in Nigeria. A reorientation of the stakeholders in football in Nigeria. And that's what you see. it would then translate to better performance on the field. With the under 23s, under 20s, the Falcons, Falconets, all of them, you will see a better pattern of play, I'm sure, and more commitment from the players.
What's the major objective of this administration?
Well, the major objective of this administration, first of all, is to put Nigerian football on the pedestal of in its rightful place with the top nations in football administration and football playing. Because in Nigeria, we have the number of talents that we have, the number of talents that we have in Nigeria should put us with Brazil, with Germany, with Spain. But one of the problems is that we don't seem to have organized it properly. We don't seem to have integrated the private sector to support it with the support that we're getting from government. So there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of administration to get out the best from the players and potential Super Eagles players. We need to start that from the bottom, from the under 13s, from the under 9s eventually. And that is the way we plan to do it. So you can expect for us to achieve our goal, at least head a far way in achieving our goal. Getting private sector involved, improving on developmental football, improving on the administration of football, and putting the top teams at the highest level of competition with the best in the world. And it can be done in no time.
Now back to the Nigerian clubs. Is our inability to do well in the continental scene in the past few years an indictment on the standard of the Nigerian league?
Well, I think that the clubs themselves need to be better run across board. We need to have, the same way you have told us about managing football as a nation, the clubs also need to manage their clubs a bit better. You need to plan ahead as well, because see, NFF doesn't play for you. You play your competitions, so you need to plan ahead. You need to get your sponsorship. You need to fund your club properly. Get the best players, keep them in good shape, give them insurance, pay them on time. All these things are things that the clubs should do. If the clubs do that, we will give the necessary backup to them. We're planning a competition very soon. I'm sure you hear about it, where we want so that we can engage them properly before they go for continental because with elections coming, we don't know what will happen with the league. So what we're looking at is engaging them, giving them the backup support that the NFF can give them. But it's up to the clubs. So that question, I think you should take it to the clubs who are playing on the continent. What
challenges do you face combining your role as chairman of the Lagos State Football Association and first vice president of the Nigerian Football Federation?
Well, first of all, I think that it's divine because I think my work here at the Lagos FA in the past 4 years has actually prepared me for the work that I'm doing at the national level. So it makes it less difficult than it would have been. The other thing is that I say this with all sorts of seriousness, that my board members in Lagos FA are very able to do the work and have made my life much easier. I don't have to be here for things to work. And the way we worked over the past few years has been a lot of communication by email, by phone, but everybody knows their role and it gets done. So if they were incompetent, if my staff here were incompetent, it would make my life more difficult. But I can be in Abuja and we're running. I mean, this morning, for example, we had a launch of the futsal and foot volley in Lagos. I only came back last night. I came back very late last night, about 11 o'clock I got to my house. But I said this morning everything is done and done properly. So that's what football administration should be like. If we can take that to the national level, I'm sure Nigeria will be fine.
In spite of some of the major setbacks in 2014, do you see a bright future for Nigerian football?
Yes. Oh, I think so. I think that if you look at the last administration, they started with not qualified as well. But they came up and won practically everything. I think we can do the same. I think we can even do better. Because now we have a precedent. We can do even better. We can learn from their mistakes. But also, I see a bright future because I've worked with 13 and 15-year-olds in the past 4 years in Lagos, and I see what talent there is. Against all odds, they win. We're just talking about a team from Lagos, under 15s, who went and played, and they'd all attempted to frustrate them, to the extent that at the point they played the last match with only 11 and no subs. Yet they came triumphant. So the talent is there. It is us, the adults, that need to harness those talents and bring out the best in Nigerian football, without fear or favor, and without nepotism or breaking the law. So I'm sure we can do it.
Guinness fuels our passions, but which will best fuel the rise of Niger? Get behind your passion on the Malta Guinness TV show. Game on!
Hot Sports cranks up the heat this Saturday with fresh sports news and incisive analysis, backed by exciting visuals. Hot Sports, your unique source of sport information, education and entertainment, inimitably delivered via hot, scorching argument where no one blinks. Don't miss it.
Well, that is how far we can go on Hot Sports this week. We hope you enjoyed the program. We'll be back again next week with another exciting episode of Hot Sports.